Good morning.
Good morning.
Can you hear me?
Jimmy, can you say something?
I don't think we could hear you, Naomi. I see your lips moving, but can't hear you.
How about now? I'll take my headphones off. Can you hear me now? You can a little bit.
Very little.
Very little. How about now? Do you just see my lips moving?
No, we can hear you now.
You can hear me?
Yeah. We can hear you. Can you hear us?
That's so odd. Okay, maybe I'll just have to use my phone. Sorry, looking for the link. If I speak up, can you hear me?
Yeah, I could hear you.
Okay, I'll do that instead. I don't know what's happening here. Is Rosie joining us? I don't see.
I just texted. I just texted to see if we get a response.
Did you get a response, Jimmy?
She's here.
Oh, there she is. Okay. Welcome, Rosie. Can you hear us? Or you can? Can you turn your camera on? Ah, okay. All right, well, I think we can go ahead and get
Can you guys hear
started.
me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Sorry about that.
No, no worries. You're here. We can hear you, and as long as you can hear us, I think we're good. So good morning. Thanks for being here on this.
Good morning.
And I'm gonna go ahead and call this special meeting to order at 10:34. And so we'll go ahead and if you can I don't say the Pledge of Allegiance. Do we have a flag, Judy?
Pulling one up right now.
So we're doing this via Zoom. I don't know if we stand or sit, but I will stand as you say this Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
I
allegiance
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic
for which it
Which is
stands,
One
one
nation.
nation,
God.
under God, indivisible, with
indivisible, with
Liberty.
liberty and justice.
Justice
for
for all.
all.
Okay, thank you for that, Jenny. So you have the agenda. If we are okay with adopting the agenda as presented, I can go ahead and get a motion for that.
Make a motion to adopt the agenda as presented.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I second.
All in favor of adopting the agenda as presented, please say aye. All
Aye.
opposed? Aye. Do we have any public comment, Jenny? Nope. Okay. So moving on to the reason why we're here, the board action items, you'll see 3 action items all connected to the community center. And so at our last meeting, there was a vote. And the motion was to issue the letter of support contingent on the advice of legal counsel and OSBA. And then I reached out to OSBA and legal responded, and the response is you have the attachment that was sent to you, but in summary of that, legal shared that the school district cannot participate in this part because it's considered campaigning. And they did share, however, that the board itself could move forward, as well as OSBA. Is there anything to that one that you would like to add that maybe I have missed?
No, I think that's a good summary. Yeah, the board can authorize it and do that. They just can't use district staff to write the letter for the board.
And so I got the feel that we misunderstood. We had discussion, after the vote, that Superintendent Larios would write that letter on behalf of the board. And given that legal stated that that is not possible, I felt the need to communicate that and update you all. Because this was done in a public meeting, OSBA suggested that this also needed to be done in public. And so to clarify that the motion, the vote, and the discussion were separate. So I think I could have moved forward with the letter of support, but my role here is to facilitate, communicate, and do the will of the board. And so I felt the need to communicate that part. And in doing a check-in with all board members, so although Ryan is not here, I did check in with him. The themes that came up were very similar. However, they didn't align with what was voted on and what was understood. And so really, that is why we're here. And so it's an opportunity to ask any clarifying questions if you have other questions. If we want to move forward, that's something that we can do. If we want to do something different, that is something that we can do as well. And
So who's going to write it now?
So the only way to do that is to do that in a board meeting when we're all here. So the first item, the community center letter of support, you can, as a board, we can support it and move forward with it, or we can not move forward with that. So it would almost be as undoing a vote that we already voted on. Does that make sense?
So we would still, so the board may still be in favor of supporting the community center, however, may not be in a position to write a letter that would go into the voters pamphlet.
So that is separate. So another thing I like to clarify is I think there was some confusion around letter of support and the pamphlet. And so I did reach out to the mayor, and it appears that the letter of support is separate from the endorsement statement. I didn't catch it at the meeting, but the council member that was there presenting, when I went back to read the statement, it stated she was requesting for a statement of endorsement for the voters pamphlet. And this letter of support, the city has collected several from individuals and I think some organizations. And so it would go into that category. So the category that this letter of support would go under would be, from my understanding, education.
So just to clarify, the request that was made was a letter of support. It was not a letter to go into the voters pamphlet.
So the request made in public comment is also an attachment you received, and it states, I am here tonight to ask you for a written endorsement that may be used in the voters pamphlet to help pass our bond measure in the November election.
Okay.
And that is item number 2 and 3 on today's agenda. That is why it's on there. So at this time, agenda number 1, community center letter of support. We do need a motion and a vote for each of these items. And so this would be an opportunity to, if you each want to share, thoughts, questions, make a motion.
Well, I was the one that was opposed to it, so I'm still gonna stand with my opinion. I mean, with my choice, so I can't really make a motion.
No, you actually can. So, are we ready to make a motion? Do we feel like we need more discussion or questions?
And so just to clarify, because I would make the motion to rescind, because we voted on the letter of support.
Right.
I would want to make the motion to rescind that letter of support. Because
Okay.
that's, and that way, I mean, in my mind, they know, I mean, I'm all for support for the community center. However, if we've gotten legal advice in regards to what we shouldn't do, what we can or can't do, I would feel more comfortable just going by the advice of what we were given or what was explained. Play it safe. I mean, in my mind, there's no reason to, based on just because it feels right, it feels good, to open up a potential can of worms of, what, doing this could potentially do. So I would make a motion to rescind, the letter of support for the community center that we voted on August 27th. That would just be me.
So is that a motion, Jenny? Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor of voting on the motion as presented? Can I do that? Say aye. And all opposed?
I'm abstaining. I abstained previously, so I feel like I should abstain now.
What are the other votes?
It's just me and Jimmy.
What's your vote, Rosie?
I second it. So he made the motion. I said nay.
Are you
Let's see.
saying nay to rescinding it? Or
No.
are you saying yes? Right now, the motion on the floor is to rescind the letter.
Oh, right, the letter. I'm for the letter, so I'm yay.
No, so,
So you're voting yes to rescind.
Yeah.
okay.
Okay.
Do you understand the motion, Rosie?
It's
It
in
would be
support
not
of the,
to provide. It would be not to provide a letter of support.
right.
Okay.
So I'm definitely
Santiago,
for it.
Okay. Santiago, what's your vote?
To rescind the letter, to not provide a letter.
And Normie?
Um, this is a hard decision because there's a lot of pros and cons.
Mhm.
The city has also done a lot of work in this. But in just reaching out to OSBA and just consulting a lot this week, my role is, as a chair, is to like facilitate and provide process and to do the will of the board. And so my vote is yes.
Thank you.
Right, so it looks like the motion carries 3-0 vote. No, and 1 abstain. And so the next item on the agenda is the community center bond measure endorsement statement. And so this is what the council member requested at the previous meeting. And this would be a statement from the Woodburn School District, from the Woodburn School Board of Directors, a statement in support that would go in their voters pamphlet.
A statement from us, right?
Right. Would you, Juan, have any additional information on this? Or is this
This
something?
is similar to the last item, consulting with legal. Legal said, yes, the board can authorize this.
Mhm.
They just can't use staff time to write the letters. With the letter of endorsement, letter of support, the board can do it. They just can't use staff time to write it.
Mhm.
And with that being said, because like I said, like you know, I mean, you referred or just stated in the last vote that we just had, it was a difficult decision. Because I support the community center. There's a lot of benefits, pros and cons. However, given the legalities of it and whatnot, but given that we do have, per se, an opportunity to show our support, and with the blessing, if you will, of OSBA, show that we want to make that connection. We want to be able to show that we are in support, that we do want to work in tandem and collaboration, beyond what just keeping the school board and the community separate. We want to start trying to implement, community togetherness, working together. I would be in favor of having this letter of endorsement written. And, my understanding is the board is not employed by the school district. We're not staff. So I think if one of us could write that letter, then I'm all for it. That's what, we want to do, to show the community that we are, willing to support a community-wide project. And yeah, I'm in favor of it.
So can you help me understand what's the difference between the first agenda item and this agenda item?
You're asking Jenny, right?
No, I'm asking Jimmy about
Hmm.
what you just shared. I want to understand.
Let's see, let me put the agendas I had. We have the agenda here.
So I don't know, the statement of endorsement, I don't know if that is a letter or if that's just a blurb.
The bond measure endorsement statement.
Mhm.
So the letter of support, how I understand it, the letter of support is to support them in their decision. And then in my mind, the bond measure endorsement is to support the bond. I mean, the money's, the process that it's going, the process that they're taking, what they're doing, what they need to do to move forward with this for the voters to understand what is needed. And that because obviously nobody else is taking to it, in regards to what the voters will need to do. Yeah, I questioned it. I wanted the answers back when we spoke about it back in, was it March? You know, there was questions that needed to be answered. You know, who talked about it? Who did they talk about? What is going to be, you know, what's this, what's that? I think we got a lot of questions answered. But again, it all boils down to what the voters are going to say. You know, as far as just a letter of support saying, hey, we see the pros and cons to this. I see, you know, the board's on, you know, the board's in support of this. And yeah, I mean, I don't know how else to put it. It's in favor of the bond measure as opposed to just, hey, I'm in support of this. I mean, I don't know if I'm supposed to come up with a complex explanation and, you know, go with this fancy answer. It's to me, it's just, hey, I like what I see. This is cool. This is awesome. Let's work in collaboration as opposed to voters pamphlet. You know, let the community see that we do want to, you know, we want to see it move forward with the processes. So that's
Thank you. Other thoughts?
I still remain a little bit confused about when representatives from the committee came to the school board meeting and asked for a letter of support, and we didn't do anything. So they came to the meeting and they spoke and passed around some information and talked about it, and they asked at that time for a letter. And I still am a little bit confused, but it sounds like we didn't do anything. So they asked us to do something, and so either we tabled it or we didn't know what to do, or we just said thanks for the information. And now, since this meeting has happened, when the city has come forward and asked us specifically for information to put in the voters pamphlet, we're taking action. And so I've been a little bit confused about, one, a letter of support in regard to, you know, their vision, their mission, and what they'd like to see done. And then two, the letter specifically to go into the voters pamphlet. When they came before and they asked for the letter of support from the Woodburn School District School Board, what were we not willing to do anything at that time, or were we waiting for more information then, or is there were we seeking out more information from OSBA, or what was kind of going on at that time when they first came and presented their request?
Well, I think it was just that, a request. So can you help me help you understand? Because we're here today to make a decision. Can you help me understand how we can say, I don't know, the confusion, what, help me understand, because you're bringing up then, we're kind of here now.
Right. So now today we're, so the decision has been made not to do the letter of support for the voters pamphlet, correct?
So we just voted on not providing a letter of support for the community center bond measure. That's not for the voters pamphlet. That's
Okay.
what we're talking about right now. So there's item number 2 is the community center bond measure endorsement statement. So the letter of support we just voted on.
Mm-hmm.
And what we're discussing now is the bond measure endorsement statement that would go in the voters pamphlet. And the third item is a form that needs to be attached to that endorsement statement. Does that make sense?
Okay. And that is based on the request that was made at the meeting August 27th?
Based on public comment that was made, yes.
Okay.
Any other thoughts or questions?
So we're going to vote on this endorsement statement now, right?
Correct. Item
Okay.
number 2 on the agenda.
All
Does
right.
the board want to move forward with providing an endorsement statement in the voter's pamphlet?
I think we should just proceed and vote on it. Unless Courtney needs some more thought.
This would be a time, because sometimes it doesn't make sense to vote and then we kind of leave with questions or not knowing.
Yeah, so we're all clear on what we're voting.
Mhm. Is there anything, Juan, that you'd like to add to agenda item number 2 that might be helpful?
Maybe just to further clarify, that first agenda item was for that letter of support, which was more symbolic in nature, that would be submitted to the city. And this agenda item is specific for an endorsement letter that would go into the voter's pamphlet.
And just to clarify, all of those things would come from the Woodburn School District Board of Directors. None of those would come from the superintendent.
Correct.
Okay.
I have received a request for a letter as well, but that's a separate conversation. This is specific to the board and what the board would like to do.
But Juan, when they approached you, directly as a superintendent,
Yes.
which is separate. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It would be as an individual, I think,
Mhm.
not as a superintendent.
Yeah, this would be outside of this conversation.
Any other, I don't know, doubts, hesitations that we can discuss if we all feel like we're not quite sure about that?
I'm ready to vote. I know Jimmy is. I don't know if Courtney is.
How can I help you, Courtney?
I don't think you can. I'm just understanding the process and understanding public comment. In the past, I've never seen the board react to public comment, and so that's confusing to me. Public comment is usually just something that we and the board has typically just listened to, not responded to immediately. I've seen lots and lots of public comment that has just been listening. Thank you. And it's not often that you hear an immediate response, an immediate action with public comment. And so this is a little bit different where someone came in with a public comment and then they made a actual tangible request, and then the board is taking action on a public comment request. So that was where I was a little bit confused about the action on the public comment. And then I was a little bit confused about the previous request versus this request, and then letter support versus the endorsement for the voters pamphlet. So I just wanted to make sure I understood the difference between the two, and then the physical action on the public comment, because I've seen lots of agencies, parents, entities come in with public comment and the board not really take a action and an action item on a public comment. However, in this case, I'm seeing it. And so this has been a learning experience as well for me. So I just want to make sure I'm understanding what's happening. This is, I'm learning as we're going here.
Mhm.
I think I've got it.
Okay. So if there are no additional discussion or questions, it looks like we might be ready for a motion. Would anybody like to entertain a motion? And I believe you might have the attachment for that as well.
Well, I'll do. So I move that the Woodburn School District Board of Directors provide a written endorsement in support of the Woodburn Community Center bond measure that will be used in the voters pamphlet for the November election.
Is there a second?
Well, I'm not in supporting it, so I'll abstain.
You can't abstain, Rosie. Well, I mean, I don't know, Jenny, maybe she can, but is there a second? And if there is not, I don't think I've experienced this, Jenny. So would we make a different motion?
No. You either
would
need a
vote.
second or it would just, the motion dies.
Okay. So if there's no second, the motion dies.
Mhm.
So that's what's happening. And then what is next?
That's it.
That's it?
Mhm.
Would we move on to the next item?
You would
There
not.
is no next item.
Oh, that's right, because the third one is attached to the second one. Okay.
Courtney could have seconded it, but
Well, nobody
yeah, I know.
wanted to second that. And so is there discussion? Do we end it here?
You can have discussion. Yeah,
Okay.
that's fine.
Any other discussion? Are there hesitations to that motion?
Well, I've already expressed my feelings on this, and I know it's for the community, but it's not for the district. Because the low-income families will not be able to support, utilize it. And we got to think of our community, our kids, our families. And I know it'll be good for some percentage, but I feel like with all the growth, it can pay for itself. So that's why I'm not for it.
Thank you. Any other final thoughts? Okay, Jenny, so then do we move on to item number 4? Yeah. Okay. Well, it looks like we've made it to the end of our special meeting. I do appreciate each and every one of your time to be here. I know you can be elsewhere. And thank you for sharing. And I hope that this continues to be a space where you can share freely and ask questions and even share hesitations as we continue to move forward and do what's best for our students. So thanks again. And I will now adjourn this meeting at 11:07. Have a great day, everyone.
Thank
Adios.
you.
Have a good day.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.